time to do my picks for UFC 90. First of all, I want to say that I'm just not interested in the Berkman-Sell match at all. Hermes Franca and Marcus Aurelio. Now, Franca is 18-7. Aurelio is 16-6. Franca has 11 submission wins and Aurelio has 10. I hear that this is a sort of grudge match, that they don't like each other. I don't know where that stems from. I'm not really au fait with either of them. It's interesting to note that Franca is facing his third loss in a row here, although there's a big gap, isn't there, between his first and his second. I'm afraid I think this is probably it for Hermes. I'm going to go for Aurelio. I'm going to go for him by submission. I'll put a bar of some sort. And I'm going to go for it in the third round, because they're both very good on the ground. It may go on for quite some time, but I'm expecting Aurelio to win. In fact, no, I shall go for decision win, actually. There we are, decision win instead. Right. Dan Miller and Matt Howard. Now, I'm a big fan of him. A former IFL person. His record is 22-10, and he's won 18 of his matches by submission. Quite important when Dan Miller is 9-1 and he has 6 submission wins. Now, the thing about Dan Miller is that he's very, very quick at finishing fights. It's usually in the first round, which probably means he's quite explosive. He also goes an awful lot for chokes, but he has been known to go for bizarre things like, knee bars and toe holds. I imagine that's sort of not outside of his capability. I'm going to say, though, that Howard takes this one. I'm going to go for him by submission. When he usually wins by submission, it's a chokehold, so I'll put that down. I'm going to say that this goes into round 2. What I am predicting actually here is that during the first round, Miller comes out sort of probably quite strong, expecting to finish. He probably gets Howard in, at danger several times, but as soon as it goes to the second round, he's not used to fighting that long. That's when I think Howard has the advantage, and that's when he will probably... Shannon, whatever his name is, and Spencer Fisher. Well, I'm going for Spencer Fisher, obviously. He is 21-4. Shannon is 11-2. He's actually a submission artist, so this is actually striker versus groundsman. However, let us look at Fisher's way of winning here is TKO. And let's have a look at the one loss that Shannon has via TKO. It comes from Cub Swanson. Now, I do believe that Fisher is probably 10 times the striker that Swanson is. Ergo, I am going to go for TKO. I shall go for it in the first, in fact. There we are. Rich Clementi and Gray Maynard. I'm a fan of Rich Clementi as well. Record 32-12-1. Gray Maynard, poor chap, 5-0, and 3 of those have come by decision. I'm afraid I don't think that training at Extreme Couture is going to help him against somebody who has 14 submissions and 10 TKO wins on his record. I'm going to go for Clementi. I'm going to go for him by submission in the first round. Now, Sean Shirk and Tyson Griffin. Sean Shirk 32-3-1 with 13 submissions and 11 decisions. Yes, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Most people do comment on how Shirk doesn't usually finish fights, and yet he's actually, in his overall record, finished more fights by submission than he has had decisions. There we are. The interesting thing about Tyson Griffin, whose record is only 12-1, is that although this actually looks like it's feeding Griffin to the lions, I don't believe it is at all. Griffin has this knack of being able to beat people who are, for the most part of their careers, unbeatable. Examples would be Uriah Faber, and also Dwayne Ludwig is another one. Now, Sean Shirk generally doesn't get finished, and if he does, it's usually by sort of outstanding people. So I think that he is going to be one person, just on that sort of, pure sort of chance basis, that Tyson Griffin actually stands a reasonable chance of winning. I'm going to go and say that Sean's only way of winning this, as usual, is by decision. You know what? I'm going to go for Tyson Griffin in the third by TKO, and I'll tell you what else. Why? I've also had a thought, and that's that Sean Shirk has suddenly decided that he's good at striking, and whereas he might be okay at striking, I'm slightly worried that the other thing he might do in this match is play this striking game that he tried to do with BJ Penn. Backfired with Penn. I think that really would backfire with Griffin, because he sort of tends to eat these unbeatable. So I'm going to go for him by TKO in the third. Okay, Verdum, 11-3, and Junior Dos Santos. I'm not interested. Fedris and Tals Lights. Now, this is a very difficult one for me, because I actually like Tals Lights. I do like Tals Lights. I want Drew McFedries to win. His record is 7-4, Tals is 13-1. However, what Lights tends to do is submit. I hate to say it, but I do worry about that being submission in the second round by Lights. That's just my worry there. I shall go for that as a prediction. Josh Koscheck versus Thiago Alves. Well, first of all, Alves has to make weight, of course, and goodness knows whether he will be able to do that. I don't like either of these characters, but rather Koscheck than Alves, I think. I'm going to go for Koscheck by decision. Hopefully he takes him down and just lies on him. I think that would be very frustrating to Alves, and I just think that would be fantastic. Okay, the main event, Anderson Silva and Patrick Cote. Although he doesn't have a sort of basis of strength, one sort of particular area that you can say he's done this or he's done that. Firstly, he's never been TKO'd. Quite important when you think that although Silva is supposedly in his history sort of a groundsman, he generally tends to stand, and as Cote has never been finished that way. Fascinating. Their records, Silva 22-4 and Cote 13-4, so he's not actually that far out of his league. I tell you the other thing, and call me a little bit superstitious here, but Anderson Silva was a guest coach on the Tough season, and we all know that two past coaches and two past title holders have also been guest stars coaches in a series of Tough. We know that they both lost their next title match after that. So I'm going to go for Cote. I am going to go for Cote. I just haven't really worked out how he's going to win. I'll put Cote by question mark. The other thing is, I actually think that it would do Silva better to lose this one than win. I think if he wins this one, then he is pretty much going to either have to face somebody like BJ Penn or George St Pierre, or he will just retire. He's going to get bored. I think if he gets beaten, it suddenly gives him motivation to get back up to the top again. That's not saying that he's in any way sort of slacking. I think it really is a case with him of just complete boredom. So I'll go for Cote, but I'm not quite sure how.